Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today I'm going to be exploring the Odyssey 2, the Magnavox Odyssey 2, this guy. Now, I have a tiny story before I begin, and why I have this or how I got this. And, it's a sad and happy story in that I had to sell my DeLorean, my car, that I've had for 20 years. And, it was tough seeing it go, but the amount of work, like you could imagine a car that age, it was an 82. So it's like over 40 years old. You can imagine the amount of work that needs to be done to it. It needs a whole new frame. It needs everything. And luckily, my friend is a mechanic who strictly works on DeLoreans. That's all he does. That's his business. After he ran through all the issues with it, I said, you know what? It's just time to let it go. He made me an offer. I took it. And needless to say, he's going to fix it up to the best that he can do and, do whatever he's going to do with it. But at the same time, he said, you know what? I know you're into video games. He also was the guy I did the show. I did a video on not too long ago about the Toronto Auto Show, where he had a booth section there on 80s nostalgia, video games, and all that other stuff. So if you check my videos, you'll see it there. But anyways, he mentioned that his wife had this old video game system. He knew nothing about it, and she just wanted to get rid of it, I guess. It was sitting in her basement collecting dust. And so he said, I want to give it to Brian. So he did. And so when he came to to pay for the car, he had the bag with him, and he had this with a bunch of games. And, he said to his knowledge, it worked. But, these old systems, you never know. They work one day, the next day they're done. They're dead, they need repairs, whatever. Anyways, let's get to this thing. This is a beast of a system. It's not heavy at all. I mean, it's light. It feels light compared to, some of the other systems out there. It says it's the Odyssey microprocessor. It says it right there in the corner. A little hard to see there. So the Odyssey 2, and it's got this nice red button, really fat button. Feels kind of sticky, like it keeps sticking or something. So I don't know, maybe some cleaning. I did have to clean the crap out of this thing. I mean, it had dust all over it. It looked awful. You could tell it was stored in a basement for a very long time. Now, right off the bat, the thing that caught my eye is that everything is wired in. All the controllers, the RF cable, everything's wired into the system. So the only thing that's not is the power switch, which is interesting. The power switch holes right about here. And I didn't see anything else. I didn't see any channel switchers. I'm looking around. I'm still not seeing anything. So maybe that only works on channel 3. As far as I understand, the whole Magnavox line was created back in the day when they made the first Magnavox. What the heck was it called? The first one. That really didn't do a whole lot, just had a square on the screen. But they had to try and market it to try and sell with their TV, the Magnavox TV. That was the whole idea of it. And I guess at this point they decided to make a second one with cartridges similar to its first iteration. But this one actually plays some pretty decent games. And as far as I know, the system kind of holds up. I mean, the games might be a little bit basic and simple, but still kind of fun. Here's the controller, one of them anyways. There's 2 controllers, again, wired into the system. So sort of like the Intellivision, the first Intellivision had the 2 controllers wired into the system. Honestly, I think that was because they didn't think people were going to play video games by themselves. They thought, who would do this? Like, who would want to play a game by themselves? So they always included the 2 controllers to say, here, go play with a friend. And you can see it kind of, this thing on my lap here, kind of resembles the Atari joystick in a way. I mean, it's got the red button. It's got the stick. Now, the stick is a little bit weird. It's kind of thin. It's like a really thin stick. And it does kind of move in all directions. It's like, you could see right in there. It's seated in there, and it just kind of goes all over the place. Unlike the Atari that feels like it only goes the 4 ways. You know, you can go in the 8 directions, but this is on like a ball, so it's interesting. It's got a little bit of weight to it, but it's got a really long cord. Well, really not really long, kind of short. The controllers are obviously designed that you would have to have this thing in front of you. And I can understand why, because there's buttons. It's like a computer. You know, it's got the numeric pad. It's got the it's a weird keyboard. It's a flat. It's not. I thought it was going to be more like a membrane keyboard, but I don't know. It's like a really flat surface. And when you push them, it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. Like you push on it, it doesn't feel like it's pushing a button. So it was kind of weird for me when I first plugged it in, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, is this thing even working? You know, I had to get some compressed air and blow it into the you know, inside the cartridge slot. I had to get some alcohol. I ran out of my contact cleaner. I got to find a place where I can get some contact cleaner, because stores like that sell that type of stuff are not everywhere. You know, not like back in the day when we had Radio Shacks everywhere. It's getting harder and harder. Pretty much all the stores that sold electronics are now just cell phone stores. But anyways, it also has the, if I can pull this out here without breaking everything. It also has the power block, which is taped together. And, well, just grabbing the controller here. This is all taped together, as you can see, and I could feel it's kind of wonky. And the other thing is, too, whoa, they give a really long cord for that. I guess they figure you're going to plug it in, and you're going to have to sit pretty close to the TV and the power switch. But it looks like the person who owned this before me had to tape it all together. It looks like this whole thing was just kind of repaired. So hopefully I can track down another one. I mean, it did work when I plugged it in after fidgeting a while with it and playing around with it. It just seems like a fire hazard to me. Like, look at that thing. So I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research and see if I could find a, I don't know if there's a comparative, if I could just get one off the eBay, if someone's going to sell theirs or something like that. I'm going to have to find out. But anyways, yeah, it does work. It's scary. It feels kind of like I'm going to blow the house up, but whatever. Then we got the games. So there was a bunch of games with it too, luckily, because I wouldn't have any games and I wouldn't have anything to show. And this one's Thunderball. The thing is, all of the games look the same. Like, you have to really read. It's like you've got some text there. All these games that I have, I mean, I'm sure there's other games that probably had prettier labels, but all the ones I have pretty much have the same kind of label style. And of course, they got this handle, which I figure they realized that, you know, you got to pull the cartridge out, and we're incapable of doing this, so we need a handle to pull it out. You know, there's some Atari games that had like a T-shaped handle, and maybe some other systems might have, but you can always tell an Odyssey 2 game from the big honking handle that's sitting on it. Otherwise, it would just look like, you know, your standard Atari game. So, you know, whatever. And then on the inside, they all have this like shield thing that you have to, it's just like with, again, with the Atari, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see that, but it's like a metal, I think that's metal, yeah, it's like a metal blockage shield thing to protect the board, which is okay, because, you know, that means that less corrosion or crap is going to happen versus if it was exposed. But this was still pretty dirty when I tried it. I mean, I had to get the Q-tip right in there. I found it a little bit annoying with this thing to try and keep it open so I can clean the board. It kept trying to shut on me. Obviously, when you put it into the system, it's got some things that will, you know, stop that and pull it up, and you know, the board will go, the cartridge will go into the slot nicely. But whatever. So yeah, let's take a look at the games. So we got Thunderball, like I said. I believe that's a pinball game. Actually, I think some of these games have multiple games on them. But again, it's sort of like with the Atari 2600, how it's more like just different modes of the game. But I've also seen that some of them actually have multiple games. So, sort of like Combat. Let's see, I got this one. I've got your number. I don't know. You see how that's a little bit of a fancier looking picture there. So I don't know what that's all about. I haven't actually tried. I only put in one game so far, just to see if the thing was working. They all need to be cleaned. This is Armored Encounter. And it says also Sub-Chase. I think that's, yeah, Sub-Chase and Armor Encounter. Battle de Blinders. I guess that's French. So we'll go on to the next one I got here. Nimble Numbers Ned. Interesting. Nimble Numbers Ned. Seems like a lot of these might be learning games. Maybe his wife who owned this, they bought it for her to learn. Dynasty. Directional Dynasty. That's kind of weird. It's interesting though. What do you got? Volleyball. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like a Pong style. I doubt it's gonna have like figures, but you never know, right? I've seen a lot of these games online, and a lot of them are just very, very basic looking games. Matchmaker and Associations Logic. And it tells you, oh, and Buzzword. And it tells you what number. So when you put this thing in, you know, I'm going to do a video. I'll show some gameplays. Probably on the next video. But when you do put it in, it asks you to pick a game. You have to push a number on the keypad. But yeah, so this is like some kind of numbers thing. Again, more learning games. Computer Intro. I have no idea. Maybe this is what it was packaged with, or I don't know if anybody has one of these and knows what it came with, but that seems like something this would come with. I mean, maybe this teaches you how to use the computer part of it. I don't know. Maybe it's a programming thing. I'm not sure. And this is the last one here is the Speedway. This is the one I tested and cleaned. It's a simple car racing style. It's got Speedway, Spin Out, and Crypto Logic. Why would you add a word game with speed game? Maybe they thought every game should come with something educational too. But yeah, from what I looked at it, it's just your basic racing game, cars racing on the thing. And it looked like the other one was kind of like Sprint, you know, where you're going around that track. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, this is an interesting system. And, you know, I thank my friend for, you know, thinking of me. I mean, he could have packaged it all up and tried to flip it online for a profit. But he told me about this years ago, actually. He told me he had his wife had this computer in the basement, and that he would try and dig it up. And if he finds it, it's mine. And I was like, cool, you know, if you find it, I'll always like to try it out. And I have no knowledge of this system. I have no memories of it. I just heard of this thing like a few years ago, so there's no nostalgia for it. I wasn't trying to track one down or anything like that, but if he wanted to give it to me, give it to a new home, why not? Anyways, let me know what you think. If you know more about this thing, throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.